Last time on the Skip and Josh podcast.
What annoys me, and how many things have annoyed me on this podcast today? What annoys me about the NBA draft, when a pick is traded,
it's so stupid.
The team that originally had the pick still makes the pick, and then the guy has to go and wear the hat of a team that he's never going to play for. It's so dumb.
You're listening to the Skip and Josh podcast with Skip Sherman and Josh Obadia.
I'm Josh in Toronto.
And I'm Skip in Montreal.
In today's episode, NHL free agency,
NBA free agency,
and helicopters flying around Toronto.
But first, the grammar police make an appearance.
Okay, Skippy, a lot has happened since the last time I spoke to you. No games have been played, actually, but a lot of money has been thrown around in the NBA and the NHL, and we need to decompress.
I read a stat that $3 billion was dished out on Sunday in the NBA alone.
It's stupid. But which league are we starting with? Because we need to organize this, otherwise my head is going to spin.
Well, like we've been saying, the NBA is maybe more exciting. I don't know, but let's start with the NHL. I think it's closer to home. It's what's happening in your city and my city.
The National Hockey League.
So the first thing I have to say about the NHL,
an
offer sheet. We've heard a lot about offer sheets in the last few days.
It's you imagine if you were living here, it's been mental, the offer sheets. Conspiracy theories. There's all kinds of conspiracy theories about the offer sheet. And I'm like, okay, he made an offer. It got accepted. It got matched. Next, what the hell?
Here too, actually, they talk about it quite a bit because they're all worried that someone's gonna
snap up Marner.
Exactly. But what I wanted to say before we even talk about any players or any teams,
grammar police.
Offer sheeted is not a verb. You can't take the term offer sheet and convert it into a verb. It's not. If I hear offer sheeted one more time, I might explode.
I saw it on Twitter. Offer sheeted. This guy Sebastian Aho was offer sheeted.
It's not a verb. This has been bugging me for days.
Oh my God. Well, it all goes back to episode 1 of this podcast, Josh. Podcast therapy. This is why we do it. So you can unload all the stuff that's bothering you, your frustrations of the day, of the week, right?
I already feel better now.
Oh, thank God.
So I'll give you my take on the whole Sebastian Aho thing.
Okay.
So right after it happened, a lot of the pundits, I'm not even sure how to pronounce that word.
Yeah.
Said that
insiders
said that, this is too low of an offer and Carolina is definitely going to match. And if the Canadians actually wanted Aho, they should have offered him at least $2 million more per year, like average.
Yeah. That's what they were saying here too, today.
But here's my take. It's a good thing they didn't offer $2 million more for several reasons. Number one, if they went up to the max, like the 10.5 a year, they would have had to give up 4 first-round picks, and there's no way he's worth 4 first-round picks.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Number two, if they would have given him 10.5 average a year, 10.5 million average a year, they would be handcuffing themselves for like the next 5 years.
Yeah. Well, Bergevin gets a lot of criticism here because
he
hasn't signed any free agents on July 1st. Like he's always looking at bargains and tweaking the third line and fourth line and fifth defenseman and seventh defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
But he's actually smart because all the mistakes happen on July 1st.
Exactly.
95% of the contracts that are handed out are mistakes. There's like a 5% that are good, and I understand Florida got Bobrovsky. They think they got their man. They paid him too much. The Rangers got Panarin. They think they got their man. They paid him way too much.
Actually, Panarin was a much better deal than Bobrovsky.
Yes.
Panarin is only, I think, what is it, $7 million a year? No, more than that.
Anyways, whatever it is. But it's like the money that gets thrown around
$8 million a year. I think Panarin got $8 million a year.
A lot of times you're paying a guy because he's a free agent, not because he's a fit for your team or he's good.
Right.
He's just the best available.
But let me finish my earlier point, because as you so often do, you interrupted me.
All the time.
So the second thing I was saying was, if they would have given him an average of $10.5 million a year, they would have been handcuffing themselves for the next 5 years. And the third reason they shouldn't have done it is because the player and the agent accepted the 8.5 or 8.4 or whatever it was. In other words, if they gave him $1 more than that, they would have been overpaying him.
Yeah, because he accepted.
He accepted it.
Obviously,
so clearly he thought it was good enough.
Yeah.
So they would have, if they gave him $1 more, they would have been overpaying him. And these players are already overpaid enough as it is. You don't need to overpay them more. So it was not
front
worth,
loaded, right? The contract was totally like front loaded with all the bonuses, right? So he's getting like 20 million in the first calendar year.
I know, but
right?
But they make such a big deal over that. That who cares? Who cares about that?
No, the player cares.
Okay, the
because
player
he's
cares.
Getting all that money.
Sure, the player, he's happy to get it. But it doesn't make a difference if you're going to have to pay him, what is it, 8.5 times 5, whatever it is. The total over the course of the contract is the same.
No, but the way the players are looking at it is that bonus that he's getting, it's the lockout insurance.
Okay.
So he's getting paid no matter what.
Right. The player is happy with it. I'm not questioning that.
Oh, you're talking about the team.
But
of course.
The team, whether it's Montreal or Carolina or whoever, that wasn't going to deter the Hurricanes from matching it.
Well, there's a school of thought that was saying that maybe Dundon doesn't have the $22 million to just throw around. Give me a break.
Come on. The guy just bought a football league. Doesn't have $22 million.
He shut down he shut down the league, but whatever.
He has $22 million like I have $20 in my wallet right now. It's not a big deal.
No, but the question is, does he want to write that $22 million check? And clearly he does, because he came out and said no problem. He kind of threw Bergevin under the bus today. I don't know if you heard, basically saying that Bergevin got used by Aho's agent.
That's
and
whatever.
And that the agents basically got their way, which is a totally ludicrous theory, because it's actually the worst. The team that the party that fared the worst in this situation is the Hurricanes, because they had to sign him to the contract that they did not negotiate with him.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So the Canadians negotiated the contract with him, and then they had to say, "Oh, now we got to sign it." Right? So they're the one. They got the rawest end. The Canadians, I mean, they took their swing and they missed.
The Canadians actually had nothing to lose, because
nothing.
Right now, they're back at square one. They still have all this cap space.
Yeah.
They didn't lose any draft picks. So, whatever. It was a no-lose situation for the Canadians, as far as I'm concerned.
And you know what? They're probably not going to use up all their cap space, just like they have in the last few years. And I'm going to be fine with it, because save that cap space. Become a young team. You know, the Leafs are in trouble now because they threw around all this money, right? So you got to be careful when you have a lot of prospects and young players coming up. You want to make sure you're going to have enough money to go around and pay all these guys eventually in 2 years or whenever it's going to be. You know, so we'll see what they do. I mean, the Canadians are a middle of the pack team. They have bigger aspirations, and right now they're not a better team than they were on July 1st. They're not. They're maybe worse, actually. Well, they got rid of a player that you didn't like.
We didn't even get to my favorite part of the show yet.
For those watching on News Channel 8, Josh is smiling and raising his arms like he just scored the winning goal in the Stanley Cup final, because the Canadians traded Andrew Shaw.
And had the Canadians gotten a bag of pucks, I would have been thrilled. But the fact that they actually got some draft picks, it was a great trade as far as I'm concerned.
They cleared $4 million on their salary cap, and that's that, right? They won't miss him.
So
they have plenty of bodies to go around.
You mentioned something a couple of seconds ago or a couple of minutes ago, how 95% of signings on July 1st end up not working out. And the reason for that is because almost all the unrestricted free agents are, 27, 28, 29, 30 years old or older.
More, yeah.
And why do you want a guy like that? I mean, the guy's got, if he's 27, he might have 3 good years left. Maybe.
That's why the Panarin, Bobrovsky, those are not necessarily going to handcuff their teams because these are still fairly young players. Bobrovsky is a little bit older, but he's still in his prime, you know?
Well, no, he's going to be like 37, I think, when the deal is over.
When it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still going to get probably 5 good years out of him.
I don't know. Well,
hopefully.
goalies last a little longer than players.
And he's up and down too. But you know, Panarin's certainly young. Duchesne, I'm happy that the Canadians didn't get Duchesne because whoever was going to get him was going to overpay. He's a good player. He's not a great player.
My point is the only good free agents are the ones who are restricted. But
yes,
as
well,
you
and
know,
especially this year,
as you know, there's only been one time in the history of the league where someone who got an offer sheet, the other team didn't match it.
I think 2 times.
Dustin Penner and who else?
I think Ryan O'Reilly. Is it possible?
No, I think it's just Dustin Penner.
Okay.
I think he's the only one who wasn't matched, and they were smart to not match it actually.
Right. I mean, well, look how that worked out.
Exactly.
Dustin Penner.
Yeah.
People who are, you know, some people are scratching their head right now saying, who's Dustin Penner? They don't even know who the guy is.
Exactly.
Right?
So the only way you're going to get an unrestricted free agent is if you overpay, and let's say they had offered 10.5 a year and the compensation was 4 first-rounders. Carolina might have said, you know what? Let's take the 4 first-rounders. They might have.
Yeah, they might have.
But then the Canadians end up handcuffing themselves for 5 years. So it's not worth it.
Although, when you look at Aho's age and his ceiling, so to speak, how his potential, maybe it's worth it. Maybe it would have been worth it to overpay a little bit. If you're going to that's a capital I, capital F, if you're going to overpay, maybe. Only because he's so young, right?
Right. Well, I mean, Braden Point is young, is he not?
Yeah, but I mean...
Mitch Marner is young.
To me, Braden Point, the way I read it is that teams know that Tampa will match or that he's asking just for too much. But don't forget, the player has to accept. It's not like you just throw out the money and he's automatically yours.
Well, Aho accepted.
So even if a team throws him $15 million a season, which I know is ridiculous, if he doesn't want to go to that team, he just won't accept.
Of course.
Right? So the feeling from what I've read and heard is that Point wants to stay in Tampa. And then the other big RFA, obviously in your town, is Marner. And I don't know what's going on there. Like, I just don't know what's going on. He is negotiating with the Leafs right now, right?
I don't know if they've spoken lately, but the thing is this. Now that the Canadians gave an offer sheet to Aho and it was matched, I don't think any other general manager is going to give an offer sheet to anybody anytime soon.
No. You're right.
So
the offer sheets are done now.
Right. So in other words, guys like Marner and Braden Point and Matthew Tkachuk and Patrick Laine, who are all restricted free agents, and there's others, I haven't named them all. They could end up
Kyle Connor.
Right. They could end up like William Nylander.
Yeah, they could.
Who didn't sign until December 1st, and that didn't work out for the team or the player.
Well, I mean, it worked out for the player because he got paid, but he had a lousy season.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
I mean, you know my theory about holding out. A lot of times when you hold out and you join your team, you suck. It's like it happens all the time in the NFL mostly because the NFL players hold out and they're like, yeah, we're not going to go to. They're like the players hold out. I feel like in the NFL the players hold out because they don't want to go to training.
Of course, 100%.
And then they show up in week 1 and they're completely out of shape. They don't know what the hell's going on and they stink. And it takes them 4 or 5 weeks to get like in the groove. And by that time, their stats don't look good. Confidence, things change. You know, fans get on their case. So I don't know what's going to happen. The thing with Marner is, let's say someone made an offer sheet of 10 plus.
I don't think he would take it because he wants 11.
Ugh.
He wants the same as what Matthews is getting.
Are the Leafs going to do that?
Well, Marner can argue that he's better than Matthews. So if he thinks he's better, why would he take less money than the guy?
Well, he had more points.
He did.
He had 94 points, didn't he?
I don't know how many. He had more. I don't know how many more. Yeah. I mean, Matthews didn't play 82 games, so, you know, I don't know what the point per game average was.
That's part of the equation. Maybe Matthews isn't ever going to play a full season. He seems to be like getting dinged up because he plays a much more physical style, right?
By the way, you were talking about players missing training camp.
Yeah.
I can only think of one player in one sport who missed his training camp, and had a phenomenal season.
Let me guess. I'm going to read your mind.
I know you're going to get it. If you don't get it, I'm going to hang up on you.
Tim Raines. Yes, that's it.
No spring training, first game back.
Raines has 2 singles, a triple, a walk, a stolen base. He has scored twice, and the only time they got him was a dazzling play by Tim Tuffle. What a day he's had. Winningham at first, Candell at second, and Nichols at third. High drive into deep left field. McReynolds watching. Would you believe a grand slam for Tim Raines? That has to be one of the most incredible stories of the year in any sport. The first day back.
So he doesn't need spring training.
Well, do you have more to talk about the NHL, or you want to head to the association where things are always more dramatic?
I do have one more thing to say.
Sure.
I mean, this whole last few days has proven something that, and I just said it before, you don't want to sign the unrestricted free agents because they're already sort of on the decline or close to it.
Yeah.
The only good players are the restricted free agents, but it's almost impossible to get them from another team. So what is the solution? You need to stockpile draft picks, get as many young guys as you can, and develop your own players.
But then even then, you have to be careful about the money that you're handing out, because when you tank and you get all these guys coming together at once, like the Leafs have, right? You get into situations where you just can't pay them all, you know? And so you gotta time it properly so that all the stars are aligning at the same time, like the Blackhawks did several times, you know? And you need a lot of luck to win the Stanley Cup.
Yes, you do. Yeah. I'll say one more thing. I was watching that press conference, the Marc Bergevin press conference. First of all, he was getting grilled, number one. And
he was on the defensive a little bit.
Did not look comfortable at all on that podium.
No.
And he wasn't answering the questions. I mean, it's like, what a waste of time. All these interviews that I heard with all these general managers on July 1st, they were all a waste of time. Every single one of them.
But I want to tell you something that Bergevin said that I agreed with 100%. I was happy that he said it because he stood up for himself, because he was getting criticized and he was getting people were trying to poke holes. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? What? They're just criticizing no matter what he's going to do or say. It's no good. And he said, my only responsibility, because they were asking him about are you worried that other you ruin your relationships with other GMs, especially Carolina, other teams might offer sheet your players now, and this kind of line of questioning. And he's like, I only have two responsibilities. It's to Jeff Molson, the owner, and to the fans. That's it. I don't care about anything else. And I'm glad he said that, because that is who he's responsible for. His boss and all the people that buy the tickets.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And by the way, the Hurricanes shouldn't be upset because they just saved the Canadians just saved the Hurricanes a lot of negotiating. Here's the deal.
And
you have to sign
they actually might have saved them, $1 or $2 million a season. Who knows?
Who knows? But I mean,
you don't know where it would have went, right?
So
according to what they said, when the offer sheet came, what came out of the Carolina camp is that, we were expecting a much higher AA average salary.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that. I heard Don Waddell say it too.
They talked a big game once they accepted. You know, they tried to. Well, look, they have to put on a little bit of a show for their fans, right?
Of course.
I mean, the thing with the offer sheet is, as soon as that offer sheet came, I was like, well, they're going to accept. And then I was talking to Matthew, and he's like, I don't know, maybe they're not going to accept. I was talking to other people, maybe, who knows, maybe he doesn't have enough money, maybe they don't want to spend the money. I'm like, the thing is, if they didn't accept that offer sheet, if they didn't match it, then they should just fold up.
Well,
why is he the owner of this team?
Do stranger things.
I know, but I mean, they're a sad sack franchise who has a brand new owner. They've literally just turned the corner in terms of their fan base. They had a good year. There's excitement around the team, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to match this offer sheet to keep your young star. You just have to.
Yes.
Anyways, we can go on and on and on. And
by the way, the only signing that stood out to me in the NHL, I think Ron Hainsey got $3.5 million a year, and I'm still trying to figure out how in the world Ron Hainsey got $3.5 million a year.
What is he, 58 years old?
He might be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
That just goes to show-
I might be off on the number, but I'm not off by much.
No, not by much. I agree.
If I'm off.
The National Basketball Association.
So last episode or the week before, it was when the Raptors won. You told me like the excitement in Toronto was mental. It was off the charts. And like all the ESPN and TNT people were in Toronto. And then they're doing First Take from Toronto. And like there was so much excitement. Today, things got mental in Toronto. I don't know if you're... What is this channel CP24? What is this?
CP24
Yeah.
is a...
Do you know why I'm asking this?
I know why you're asking.
Okay.
I actually intentionally did not pay attention to anything that was going on today.
Right.
But I overheard people in my office talking about it, so I know a little bit about what went on today. But CP24,
let me just set the stage before you answer. In case people don't know what we're talking about. So Kawhi Leonard flew on like the Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment jet from LA to Toronto today, and they had like a helicopter, like following the limo from the airport to downtown, like on a It was like the OJ. It was like the OJ white Bronco, you know. Here was like a black limo, and then they had this helicopter, and it was televised on this channel that I've never heard of called CP24. People are camping out at the hotel. It's like it's gotten mental, no?
It is mental. It's funny how there's a million TVs in my office, and I didn't see one bit of it because I was watching. Right. I was watching either soccer or baseball because really I don't need to see a helicopter following a car around.
No, certainly not.
And I can't stand that channel, CP24. All it is, it's the same thing on that channel, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Basically, the screen is split up into like 3 sections. You've got like a regular screen where there's a person on like doing news or doing weather or doing sports or whatever. Right. Then there's a part of the screen, like a third or a quarter of the screen. It just has the temperature for the next 5 days.
Right, and then it had stocks on the bottom.
And stocks on the bottom, and then at the very bottom, it has, scores or, if so-and-so is playing so-and-so later tonight, and whatever. So, like, basically, it's your one-stop shop. If you need information about the weather or news or sports or stocks or whatever, you put on this channel, and that's what you get.
Or Kawhi Leonard's limo,
right,
where it is.
Right.
You need to pinpoint Kawhi Leonard's limo. That's your channel, right?
So it is insane. And then I kept, at some points during the day, like, again, I wasn't watching this, but I would hear colleagues saying, oh, ESPN's reporting that Kawhi's going to the Raptors. And I'm like... It's because
Jalen Rose came out and said he's 99% sure he's going to the Raptors. But he has no inside information. That's just what he thinks.
Right. Well, I went to ESPN.com and I didn't see any report.
No, it's because of Jalen Rose. And the thing is, you haven't been on Twitter. Like, you don't go on Twitter.
No.
What's going on Twitter? Okay, first of all, the hashtag KawhiWatch was trending today in Canada. And it's reached like levels of insanity that I've never seen. Mm-hmm. There's fake accounts. I've never seen so many fake Adrian Wojnarowski accounts.
Mm-hmm.
People
and it's hard to spell that name.
Oh, it's crazy. And there's all these other accounts, guys that have 10 followers that are like, according to my sources, Kawhi's going, and they're mostly Laker fans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's reached like a level that I haven't seen before. And the fact of the matter is, okay, so when you tell me a secret, what do you always say? I'm the leakiest faucet.
You
right?
are.
I'm no good. I cannot keep a secret.
No, you can't.
Okay. Now the opposite of the leaky faucet in our lingo here is the vault.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. There is no bigger and more secure vault than Kawhi Leonard.
This is true.
The guy, like anybody who says that they know what's going on is a liar.
Of course.
Only 2 people know what's going on. Kawhi Leonard and his uncle.
Oh,
that's it.
Okay.
That's the list. That's it. You know?
I'm with you.
But I feel like I'm waiting, and by the time I edit and publish this podcast, maybe Leonard's going to have signed with the Raptors or the Lakers or the Clippers, or maybe it's going to drag on for another few more days. Who the hell knows, right? I don't know. But I think it's telling that he flew 6 hours from LA to Toronto.
Well, he had to come back because he said he was going to let the Raptors have an opportunity to make their pitch. So he had to come back.
So, there you go. So I feel good if I'm the Raptors. I feel good about it. Can we talk about this idea of Kawhi going to the Lakers?
I think that would be a mistake for him, to be honest.
It makes me sick.
Because I think they're a mess.
Yeah. It's not just they're a mess.
Even still.
Yeah.
And if they sign him, like you keep saying, they're going to have to sign 5 guys from the Y.
They don't have a roster right now.
So
they have Anthony Davis, LeBron. Presumably they'd have Kawhi and Kyle Kuzma. I don't think they actually have any other players on their team. If they do, it's guys from the G League. Honestly. Okay, but about the NBA. So almost exactly a year ago, we banned NBA talk. And it was because when DeMarcus Cousins signed with the Warriors, I was like, oh my God, fold up the league. Who the hell cares? No one's beating the Warriors. Why should we talk about the NBA when we already know a year in advance who the champion's going to be? Now, we were wrong about this, right? Because a lot of things happened, right? Kawhi went to the Raptors. The Warriors were crazy injured, right? Mm-hmm. The playoffs suddenly were exciting. There was like 4 teams in the East that looked like that maybe could win. The West was suddenly up for grabs only because the Warriors were injured. I want to read you something today. Today, a full year after we did that, Stephen A. Smith, okay? If you were to go to the Los Angeles Lakers, you could literally make a legitimate case. Why should we watch basketball next season? This is not me. This is not you. This is Stephen A. Smith saying, I don't know if anybody should bother watching the NBA if Kawhi goes to the Lakers. And I could not agree more. This is exactly how I felt last year.
Although even if Kawhi went to the Lakers, I don't think the Lakers with Kawhi are as good as the Warriors were a year ago.
No, but they're better than the Warriors are now.
They are, but I mean, as we just said, they gotta have 10 other guys on the roster. Who are those 10 other guys going to be?
They need at least 5 more.
I mean, first of all,
could the Raptors have won
2 other starters, and then you need 5 backups.
Could the Raptors have won the title this year without Fred VanVleet?
No, of course not.
Without Pascal Siakam and the contributions from the bench, even guys like Norman Powell had one game where he basically won the game for them. Every team has guys on and that was the downfall of the Warriors because they're so front loaded with stars. Mm-hmm. They didn't have any bench, right? And we saw Quinn Cook. All of a sudden, Quinn Cook was like their only hope.
So yeah, I mean, listen, the Rockets are still a good team, by the way. I think the Milwaukee Bucks, they're an excellent team, and they're young. Like, they're going to get better.
Well, they lost a good player this week in Brogdon. I don't know why they let him go. I guess the offer was too big. But they're going to miss him. But yeah, the East is up for grabs.
By the way, the Celtics are going to be better than they were last year for sure.
Well, I mean, they have a couple of big losses, like obviously Kyrie left.
No, but that's a good thing. Losing Kyrie is going to help
They replaced him with Kemba Walker, which is fine. I'm fine with that. They have no big guys. They have no centers or forwards, so it's kind of weird. Well, Al Horford's gone now, and he signed with the Sixers.
Yeah, but he's also 80 years old.
Yeah, but he's good still. And it's weird because the Sixers, it's weird that they got him because they don't really need a big man. They have Embiid already. So, and then, of course, the Sixers lost J.J. Redick and Jimmy Butler. Right. So there's a lot of changes in the East. There's a lot of changes in the East. So all those teams that we mentioned, the Sixers, the Celtics, the Milwaukee, who are still pretty good, everybody's got to figure out. They're going to figure things out. And then what about the Brooklyn Nets?
Well, the Brooklyn Nets, Durant's not playing this year.
Yeah, and so they just got Kyrie.
Yeah, so what?
But they already had D'Angelo. They already had Russell that they let go. Now he's on the Warriors, and he was averaging 18 to 20 points a game for them. So Kyrie's just replacing him.
I don't think Brooklyn's going to make the playoffs this season.
They were a competitive team this year. They didn't make the playoffs.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I really don't.
If they do, it's like the 8th spot.
So,
I mean, Kyrie maybe he's gonna propel them to, I don't know. It's exactly the situation Kyrie Irving wants to be in, where he's the star.
Yes,
That's
but
what
we've seen when he's the only guy on the team doesn't do that well.
No, that's not even the case, because on the Celtics he wasn't the only guy on the team, and that was the problem, because he wanted to be the only guy. So when anytime there was a last shot to take, he's like, he just dribbled the ball around and took the shot, and all the other guys just stood around like wide open while he was going 1 against 5. You know,
when he was in Cleveland before LeBron got there, he wasn't anything special.
No, but he's a gifted offensive player.
Anyway,
he can score. There's no doubt.
You mentioned Jimmy Butler. So my question here, I have a few questions for you. Why would he sign with Miami?
It makes no sense at all.
Like, you can sort of make sense of all the other NBA signings, but like, why would you go to Miami? Like, doesn't he have like a buddy that he wanted to play with, that he, like, Batman and Robin type thing?
I don't know.
There's no one else to play with in Miami.
It's really weird, because I don't know. We don't know what the other offers he got. Maybe that was the best offer, and like you always say, he just went with the money. Maybe he just went with the money.
I would more believe it if you told me that he wanted the nice weather. That I would understand.
The thing that was weird is that, so he signed with Miami, and then like the next day, the Sixers re-signed Tobias Harris to a huge contract, way too much. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, I'm like, well, why didn't they just let Tobias Harris go and give that money to Jimmy Butler? Because he's way better. Because Jimmy Butler actually proved it to them. Because, I mean, you watched the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, in that series against the Raptors, when it was in the fourth quarter, the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, who had the ball in their hands?
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler. Who took the shots?
Of course.
Jimmy Butler. He's the only one that wanted it to take the shots, Embiid, it's different, because it's very hard to build your team around the big guy, because you got to get him the ball, right? But when you have a guard or a guy who can handle the ball, they can have the ball in their hand and they can make their own shot, So I don't know. It's just, Matthew, my son is like a huge Sixers fan. Yes. He was really upset that Butler left, because he loved Butler. He was so excited when they got Butler, and he was really pissed that they let him go. And the signing of Al Horford sort of softened the blow, because Horford killed the Sixers. He killed them. He's the only guy in the league that could actually guard Embiid. So now there's no one that could guard him, because they took the only guy and brought him on their own team.
Well, that answers your question from 2 minutes ago, why they would sign him.
There you go.
So I have a few other questions for you.
Mm-hmm. The New York Knicks.
Yes, thank you.
I knew it.
So here's the thing. The Knicks are getting a lot of heat because they didn't sign Durant. But you know what? This is one move, I think, that this is the one time the Knicks actually did something smart. Because you don't know how Durant is going to be a year from now or 18 months from now or whatever it is. You have no idea. Yeah. I think Brooklyn took a huge risk.
Gigantic. First of all, they're paying him for a season for nothing.
Right.
That's one thing. So they're basically saying, we're giving you all this money. I don't know how much it is, 20 something million, at least 30 million probably. And they was like, okay, you're not going to play this year. Here's your check.
He's going to sit on his couch and watch TV for a year.
Like Jalen Rose says, he's cashing his checks. And then next year, an Achilles injury is serious. You don't know if he's going to be the same. I mean, I'm sure he'll still be good, but is he going to be like MVP Kevin Durant, the real MVP? Like, I don't know.
So this is one time where I think the Knicks didn't screw up.
Well, but yes, I agree. They're taking heat because they didn't sign him, but they couldn't. It was ridiculous. But the Knicks are just a disaster. I mean, like, they're signing guys this week, and they're trying to make a big deal, and the owners and the GM are trying to say, look at all these guys we signed. Julius Randle, Bobby Portis. I'm naming guys that you've never heard of, right? So
I've heard the names, but I couldn't tell you if they're good
or
or
like
not.
They signed a bunch of nobodies. Like, the problem with the Knicks is this. They've been so bad for like especially the last like 3 years. They had one star, Porzingis. They traded him to clear cap space. All the rumors were, we're clearing cap space because we're going to make a big splash on July 1st of 2019, and we're going to retool, and the Knicks are going to be relevant because we're going to get Durant, we're going to get Kyrie, we're going to get Kawhi Leonard, we're going to get LeBron James, we're going to get all these guys, right? And they didn't get any, So sucks to be a Knicks fan, that's all.
So anyway, let's stay with Kevin Durant for 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm. We've never talked so much about the NBA.
No, I know. But first of all, this is another head scratcher, but this is more annoying than confusing. The Warriors are going to retire Kevin Durant's number. This makes no sense to me. The guy left. You didn't trade him. He left. He said, basically, I don't want to play on your team anymore. He only played 2 seasons with them. Or was it 3?
3.
3. Okay, 3 seasons still. And they're going to retire his number. He's still in the league. Like, who retires a jersey number of a player who is still playing against you? Who does that?
Let me tell you another story. So Bill Simmons, he knows Kevin Durant really well.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because Durant's been on his podcast, I think 3 different times for like an hour. Not talking necessarily about basketball, just Kevin Durant. They talk for an hour about all kinds of stuff. So he has a good feeling about what Durant's all about. There's this story that he told. Now, this has nothing to do with the Durant being on the podcast. There's a story that's circulating that Simmons told. He's saying Steph Curry was in China. He flew back. He made a meeting with Durant. He's like, I'm going to fly back from China. And when I land, we're going to meet up. And it's going to be the last ditch effort to try to convince him to stay on the Warriors. So Curry flies all the way back from China. As soon as he lands, his phone kicks in and he's got all these alerts basically saying Durant signed with the Nets. He didn't even meet with him. So
and the Warriors are going to retire his jersey number. How do you think that makes Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green feel?
Yeah, pretty. I don't know. It's an interesting. No one knows what went on in the dressing room with the Warriors this year. You know, all the stories that I read and podcasts and interviews and stuff that I listened to is that it was a very, very fragile dressing room in terms of like this cloud of of Durant leaving and where is he going to go and if he's going to stay was there the whole year, and everyone was walking on eggshells with Durant, you know, the whole season, you know. So it's just a weird thing. And then when he got injured in the playoffs, I feel like they didn't know how to react either. You know?
But that's more reason not to retire his jersey.
The retiring of the jersey makes sense in no universe.
Like
0.
You do that to a player who's no longer playing, and if he had a lot of success with your team for a long period of time, he was only there for 3 years. They won championships without him before he got there.
Yeah, they should retire Steph Curry and Klay Thompson's now if that's the case.
Anyway,
while they're still playing.
I do have one more question for you.
Okay.
Why did the Detroit Pistons sign Derrick Rose? Is this guy not? I thought he needs a wheelchair to get to the arena.
He was a serviceable sub last year.
Serviceable? How many games did he miss due to injury?
Tons, but he had a 50-point game also.
He had one 50-point game. Okay, I know. Whatever.
I don't think they're signing him to be a starter or whatever. Derrick Rose is like he's a backup. He's a roster player.
Not only that, they signed him to a 2-year deal. You think he's going to last 2 years?
No.
He might not last half a season.
Like I just said, he's gonna last because he's gonna want to cash his checks, right?
Anyway, these things I don't get them.
Yeah, no, I don't get them either. That's all I got for the NBA. So maybe tomorrow or later tonight, we're gonna find out what happens to Kawhi Leonard. Before we sign off, remember, you can listen and subscribe to new and archived episodes of the Skip and Josh podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and of course, Spotify. If you listen to the show through Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. We would love to hear from you via email, skipandjoshshow@gmail.com, via Twitter @skipandjosh, or by liking and following our Facebook page. As always, you can get all the links to everything I just talked about on our website, skipandjosh.com.
We leave you with this.
I do have a couple of little notes that I wanted to end the show with. I have a feeling you might have the same ones.
Okay, I have one note.
So, you know the Washington Nationals are wearing Expos throwback jerseys on Saturday.
Yes, I know. I'm the one who told you about that.
Well, I already knew when you linked it to me. There's a picture today on Twitter of Scherzer wearing the jersey warming up. It's like a little preview.
I didn't see
that. He looks good.
Well, the uniform
looks great. Scherzer looks good in an Expos jersey.
The uniform looks great, and Scherzer looks good in any uniform.
Did you read the whole article? They're going to have poutine at the ballpark.
Yes, I did.
Smoked beef, as
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
called.
It's not going to be as good as like Schwartz's or anything. Don't get your hopes
Could
up.
it be? I mean, it's going to be pastrami.
Right, unless they're flying in Schwartz's, which would be way too expensive for them to do.
Don't kid yourself. On Facebook, someone said it won't be a true throwback unless they put the chickens on the scoreboard.
I heard they might do that.
Oh,
Because there was another team last weekend that did a throwback to like 1969, and they put like some old graphics on their video board. Not saying that the Nationals are going to do the same thing, but so yeah, listen, I'm not happy about it. All this is, just so you know, it's just a money grab. You know that.
Oh yeah, they want to sell jerseys.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to sell hats. The Expos hat is already a big seller.
It's one of the most popular hats. Yes.
Yeah, but good for them. Like, look, I never. Some people ask me, like, my American colleagues at work ask me, like, "Oh, you're a Nationals fan after they moved to after the?" I'm like, "Are you kidding? Are you on crack?" Like, no, I'm not a Nationals fan. I never will be. I'm not rooting for the team, but I do respect the fact that they don't shy away from the Expos history.
I'm torn because I'm not sure which team I hate the most in Major League Baseball. It's either the Washington Nationals,
Yeah,
or the Miami Marlins,
yeah,
or the Atlanta Braves. I'm not sure which of those three teams I hate the most.
I don't hate the Braves. The Braves are not in that conversation for me, but I think I hate the Marlins more just because they're owners.
I love to see the Nationals lose.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, they're cursed. So
You know, Loria doesn't own the Marlins anymore. You know that.
no, I know.
So, but anyway,
Well, it's Derek Jeter.
yeah. So
You have anything?
yes, I'm sure you didn't watch the NBA awards show,
No.
but Shaquille O'Neal hosted, and he was
I saw the clips.
He was actually very funny.
Shaq's great. He's so funny.
I mean, I don't know who wrote his stuff, but
Yeah.
the funniest line he had, I'm going to repeat it right now. I hope I get it right. He was making a joke about, the Lakers. They had to give up a lot to get Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
He's like, the Lakers cut off their balls to get Anthony Davis. And then you see a picture of Lonzo Ball and his dad.
They cut off their balls.
Yeah.
Good one. Yeah. I hope Lonzo Ball's happy in New Orleans. I hope he does well.
Yeah, actually, I hope he does, but his dad's an idiot. So it was Shaq is a good host.
You sent me a link today for the 30 for 30 podcast.
Yes.
Okay. I did listen to that episode you said, which is like fake stories about things that happened. Okay.
Yeah.
That one's pretty funny.
It was.
But the most recent episode entitled The Good, the Bad, and the Hungry.
I haven't listened to it yet. So
it's about the biggest rivalry in pro sports.
Oh yes, about Kobayashi
and Joey Chestnut. Competitive eating.
Just watching them eat that makes me want to vomit.
This is an audio podcast, and I was ready to vomit just in the description.
So I will not be listening to it then.
It's actually a good listen. So if you want to, everybody out there, like, I'd recommend that one. All right, Josh. Next time we're gonna have the much ballyhooed all Expos team.
I'm ready. I've done all my research and I'm ready to go.
Because you mentioned that we might have a DH on the last episode, I already got some feedback from some listeners saying, no way, no DH. So we will not have a DH.
No DH. You have no idea how many hours of research I did on this, by the way. I've never prepared for an episode more than this one.
I can't wait. So this is going to be great. All right. I'll talk to you next time.
Okay, bye.